Hey guys, this is Amanda Hackwith, and I'm glad to introduce our course, Fundamentals of Design. In this course, we're going to explore the basics of design theory. We designed this course for new designers or for those who want to get to know more about the design field. We've got some awesome instructors lined up for you, experts in web, print, and graphic design. And we're going to meet them later, but for now let's tackle the obvious question. What's the big deal about design anyway? If you lock 5 different designers in a room, you might very well come out with 5 very different answers. So I'm going to take my years of experience as a designer and try to give you a basic idea of why design is important. There's a few important things we can say about design. First, design is a process. It's important to remember that design is not set in stone. Design isn't a static thing. It's an act, not an end result. When you're designing, you're participating in a way of thinking about the world, and that's different than how you normally do. It's a process, but not always an easy one. Design means being able to critically look at your own work. Designing means working with a variety of people who may or may not be designers and may or may not think your work is wonderful. Design is watching your masterpiece change over time, and there's a reason why we devote entire lessons to fixing your design issues and working with clients. Design is ultimately about communication, and it's not easy, but with practice you can get better at the process. And more specifically, design is a process of thinking about a problem. You might think that design is all about how something looks, but design is actually about finding solutions to problems. Some of the best and most memorably designed products aren't memorable because of their beauty, but because of the elegant way it works or solves a problem. So for example, if you're a fan of Apple products, and I know that many are, you could say you like them because they're beautiful. But what users more frequently talk about is the experience of using a product like the iPhone, how easy it is to flip between apps, how intuitive the touchscreen is, and so on. It's not just how pretty the icons are. Design is about beauty, but it's also about the use and experience, which leads us to our next statement. Design is a process of empathetic thinking. And yes, that's Comic Sans. But back to empathy. Whenever you design, you're trying to put yourself in the shoes of the person who will eventually interact with your work, the user or the viewer. Even the most basic designed item will have a user. If you're designing a flyer advertising a concert, your user is going to be the individual who might see it. If you're designing the packaging for a first aid kit, you better anticipate this kind of circumstances a person might be using it in. Frequently, the ability to understand the user and anticipate issues is what really makes the difference between an awesome, award-winning design or a complete failure. We'll take a prescription bottle, for example. The Target stores got quite a bit of press when they came out with this redesigned bottle for prescription medicine. And it was actually designed by a student. Sarah Adler was a 29-year-old graphic designer attending the School for Visual Arts in New York. And like all good designers, she noticed a problem. Medicine bottles just weren't that useful. They're hard to open, they're clumsy to store, and there was a high statistic of people mistakenly taking the wrong medicine. For her thesis project, Adler redesigned a typical prescription bottle. Target executives saw her project and snapped up the redesign in record time. And it's easy to see why when you look at it. The sides are sloped so the bottle won't roll off the counter. It's got a coated ring so family members don't get mixed up. The text is clear and focuses on the important information. In short, it's well designed because it seamlessly addresses the most common issues users experience when taking medicine. When you don't think about users interacting with your design, the results can be hilariously bad. This is a photo of Carlman's coffee pot for masochists. It's a joke design, not real product, but you can see the obvious problem. The handle is directly below the spout. In order to pour your hot drink, you're going to have to scald your hands. Despite the soft curves and the pleasing ceramic shape, it's ultimately unusable. So ultimately, I think an article on 6 Revisions blog sums it up best here. The designer, the client, and the user might all have different goals in mind for a design. Great design can be defined and judged in different ways, but the best way is to keep a balance between all 3 things: beauty, efficiency, and functionality. So that's what we're going to explore in this course. Design is an incredibly varied and challenging field, and we're certainly not going to be able to teach you everything in one go. But if you've dabbled for a while and want to learn more about how designers do what they do, you're going to get the tools of the trade here. We'll talk about the basic design principles, the tools used in any good design, the workflow of a design project, special topics in design like branding and interaction, and we'll even go over tips to get started. So first up, Kim's going to start with the basic principles that make up any good design. To prepare, you'll want to look around your home and find a few designed products. They can be anything: a flyer, a book, a website, a gum wrapper. You'll want to take a good look at the item and start thinking about how the designer put it together. As you learn the basics of design, you'll start to notice more and more the design decisions that affect your everyday life. Next, Kimmel is going to introduce you to the basics of contrast and how it's effective in a design. I hope you find our videos useful, and remember, if you have any feedback, you're welcome to leave a comment. Once again, this is Amanda Hackworth for Fundamentals of Design. Thanks for listening.